She will now introduce our featured speaker, Rosa.
Well, first and most important, I want to thank each and every one of y'all who took the time to be here. I want to thank the sponsors, Verizon, Coca-Cola, and Exxon. They've also been great partners with LULAC all these years. I want to thank Miki for inviting me to be part of this important, inspirational luncheon that we have here today, honoring leaders for Hispanic Heritage Month. I'm very happy, honored to be here with you all. As the newly elected president of LULAC, I'm elated and ready to work with each and every one of you all. Together we can make a difference, like the saying goes, and definitely Latinos and all groups need to work together. LULAC was founded to better the quality of life of all Latinos and the community as we speak. So I'm ready to take LULAC to the next level of activism, of course, mano a mano, together with each and every one of you all. I want to thank all the volunteers also of LULAC that are here. Where are my LULACers here? Because LULAC was founded of LULAC. I have our executive director, Dr. Lemos, Lisette, my special assistant, Elia Mendoza, and all other LULACers from the LNEC Center over there. Thank you all. This is what makes LULAC so special, because not only do we volunteer, but we also have to pay dues to be a volunteer. It gives me a great honor today to present someone that has been my mentor, great leader, inspirational, and I could keep on and on. Father Virgilio Elizondo. Sometimes you find people that make a difference in your life. And Father Virgilio has made a difference to just thousands and thousands of individuals. From San Antonio, Texas, which I'm very proud of because I'm from there too, he definitely made a difference in the San Antonio community. And it is one of those many things that sometimes, we don't seem to realize how important it is of individuals like Father Elizondo. He's been a strong supporter of the civil rights movement, a strong activist in the community, and supporter of LULAC for many, many, many years. As one of the nation's leading spiritual innovators, Father Elizondo had the 2002 Hispanic Heritage Awards honoree for education. And you know how dear education is to LULAC and to each and every one of us. As we become the #1 minority, we have to have a well-educated population. And LULAC is here, along with all of you, to make education a top priority for all of us. The honoree Elizondo has had worldwide impact on spiritual with his writings, lectures, and international televised bilingual workshops. As the rector for the San Fernando Cathedral in San Antonio, Father Elizondo blended Mexican religious traditions and cultural customs with Catholic service. While struggling with the church attitudes towards Mexican Americans, he pushed beyond a simple fusion of culture and religion, and soon became the father of U.S. Hispanic theology. Father Elizondo's most influential and widely accepted book, The Future of the Mestizo, Live Where Cultures Meet, discusses the outcome of the blended Mexican, Spanish, indigenous, and Anglo cultures that had its effect upon, the Catholic Church, of course, in the United States, and of course, many, many other groups. As the founder of the Mexican American Cultural Center in San Antonio, which had a great impact with us, he has built a model for community-based religion education that extends worldwide. As you can see, Father Elizondo took it beyond just being a priest. And that's what he's so special with each and every one, as leaders that you are. He took it a step beyond. And I think all of you, as we sit here today, all of you have taken something a step beyond. That's what He's called of us. And it's so important because I've always said that it is not one person that makes a difference. It is all of us working together. And Father Elizondo has indeed moved past that one step beyond. Father Elizondo has taken at least 5 steps beyond. It's given me great honor to present Father Elizondo.
Thank you, Rosa, for those beautiful, kind words. You know, Mickey told me to be sure to stop at 1:25. So I was reminded when I first started our television mass in San Antonio, I was told I had 57 and a half minutes for the mass. Well, I wasn't used to watching the clock in saying mass. As you know, our Latino parishes, it would have good music, good preaching, little kids running over the church and so forth. People don't look at their clocks. So I was used to kind of a very Latino mass. And one of the first Sundays I was on the televised mass, I got carried away because people were participating. And I got to the presenting the communion. You know, behold the Lamb of God who takes away the sin of the world. Well, that instant, it was 57 and a half minutes. So television those days changed automatically. Well, the program that followed the mass was wrestling. And you had 2 monsters going at each other. So boy, I heard it from everyone. From there on, I could finish the mass in 57 and a half minutes. So Mickey, you can relax. I will finish at 1:25. In some way, bring it together at 1:25. I've always felt for us Latinos, it's not a problem to speak. It's just a problem to end. So I will try to change that today, but I'm very honored. I'm deeply, deeply honored for the friendships, for the confianza. Really, it's just beautiful to come here today and to see so many good friends and to meet new ones, people that I admire from a distance, as you know my name. As I said together so often, it's together we make a difference. And each one doing from their perspective, of the mind from the perspective of a priest, from an educator, a politician, a business person, all of us are part of that team that will make it for our people and for humanity. I was born and raised in San Antonio, West Side San Antonio. My parents were immigrants. Mother came from La Capital, Capitaleña. Daddy came from Chihuahua, and they both came for the same reason, economic poverty and need. They came as young persons. Mother was 12, father was 13. They know any English, made their way in, struggled, met at San Fernando Cathedral, where I later became the priest. And San Fernando is very special because it was founded in 1731. George Washington was not born yet. And as a viejita told me one time, she was a descendant of the originals. My parents had immigrated. Her parents had come with the Canary Islanders in the 1700s. Said, pues mire padrecito. Our family was here when the Spanish people first arrived. It became New Spain. Then our family was still here when this became Mexico. Then our family was still here when this became the Republic of Texas. Then our family is still here when it became the United States. Our family is still here when it became the Confederacy of the South. And our family is still here now that it's United States. Padrecito, we don't know what country will be coming through here next. But we'll still be here. So you see, some of us have a sense of roots, of profound roots of having been there and started to make San Antonio. San Antonio has ancient roots, if you can imagine this, of 10,000 years of life, of continuous life, that's been coming together and mingling and providing for the people. So having been born in San Antonio, I became of that. But I was born in that beautiful portion of San Antonio where the only language, the only tradition, the only customs was Espanol. We didn't know any other language. We had our panaderias, we had our arberias, we had our tortillerias, we had our movie stars, we had our theaters, in Nacional, in La Alameda. But everything was Mexico and the U.S. I think I grew up in paradise. I mean, people loved each other, our music, our songs, our traditions, and so forth, until I went to school. And that was the most traumatic moment that I can remember in my life. When I went to school, I didn't know what all those foreigners were talking. They were speaking English. I had never heard English. So my dear friends, I flunked the first grade. That was my first experience, and I hated school. I was daydreaming, I was looking out the window, I wanted to quit, but my parents, who had had little to no education, said education's a must. I'll never forget that, and I will always be grateful. They had not had the privilege of an education, but they knew for my sister and I, education was an unquestioned fact. We're going to go all the way. And so my mother stayed on me. I was so creative in making excuses. I could create any excuse you would imagine for not going to school. But you know what? They never worked. Because mother said, no, a la escuela, vámonos, aguántate. There's where the aguante became a virtue. Te sientes mal? Aguántate. Aguántate. Put up with it, Aguántate. And I tell a lot of kids in high school, I tell a lot of young people today, that's an important virtue. If you don't like school, you have boring teacher, you have bad food, you have boring textbook, aguántense. Aguántese and go for it, And so I learned that from my parents. Finally, I had a teacher in the 5th grade that made all the difference in the world. And she was a German nun. But she took a personal interest in me. She took a personal interest, and all of a sudden, everything started to change. All of a sudden, rather than hated school, I started to love school. All of a sudden, I got excited. I wanted to study more. I wanted to go. From there on, I started to move from just barely passing, to making good grades, to making excellent grades. One person made a difference. One person that was not a Mexican American, was not a Latina, but she believed in me. She believed in me as I was and started to give me a strong sense. Because I had been living, the whole thing, who am I? And by the way, in that time, my name was changed. In those days, you didn't question the teachers. The teachers could not pronounce Virgilio. That was just too big for them. So they named me Virgil. So at school, I was Virgil. At home, I was Virgilio. And I was reminded of this father that didn't want his son to go through all the trauma of the teachers not understanding Mexican names. So he told his son, when you go to school, this is the way you pronounce your name in English. And he wrote down very carefully for him on a piece of paper. So he got to school, teacher was on the roll, and teacher said, son, what's your name? My name is Pretty Near See the War. Teacher said, what? Yes, my name is Pretty Near See the War. So teacher asked him to bring his birth certificate up. Well, his name was Casimiro Guerra. So, that poor kid lived with that name afterwards. But anyway, to make the story short, because my time's going up, I went to school. I started to realize that going to school and going to college in those days was a privilege. There were very few Latinos in college. I was going to study science. I wanted to be a scientist. I actually my first degree in chemistry and mathematics. So those of you going for science, go for it. I was very excited. But in the context of going to college, I started to realize that as a Latino in college, I had an obligation to my community. And those were the days where segregation was unquestioned, where low wages, all the evils were there. And we had in San Antonio, we had the fortune of having an Archbishop Robert E. Lucy, who was totally committed to the social agenda. He desegregated schools way before anybody in the country did. He really pushed for just wages. He pushed the Mexican American to get educated. He said he refused to believe that we were inferior to anybody else. I was very inspired by him. He was one person from, quote, the establishment that was really speaking something I could understand, made sense to me as a Mexican American, and seeing the suffering, segregation, exploitation, so forth that was rampant, was around. So that's what inspired me to change from science to the priesthood, that the church could make a difference. That the church, because God believed in equality, because God believed in equal opportunity, that was the basic tenet of the Bible. Every man and woman, not black, white, Japanese, Mexican, every man and woman, because we're human, is created to the image and likeness of God. That every man and woman is sacred, and there's no one that's less than others. So I saw an archbishop that also was taking a stand that was so marvelous. So that's what inspired me to go to the priesthood. I went through the seminary, I became a priest, and I became a priest precisely at the time when the civil rights movement was going, when all the Chicano movements were beginning, when LULAC was going very strong. My father, by the way, had been a member of LULAC, and by the way, I had worked for the first election of Henry B. Gonzalez to city mayor, to city councilman. I had walked the neighborhood organizing bingos to raise money to get him elected. So I'd been involved since I was a kid, in all of this. But anyway, I became a priest when all these things were in motion, and for us in the church, Vatican II was in motion, where it called us as a church to be concerned about the poor, where it calls us as a church to develop a pride in the culture of a people, that a culture of a people was a gift, to develop a pride in the music, in the art, everything that made a people, and that this should be part of the church, that the church should not just be something European, it should come out of the people, out of the soul of the people. Those were the civil rights movement. Vatican II had a tremendous impact in me as a young priest just beginning. And at that time, we actually founded an organization called Padres to confront the Catholic Church from within, to confront the Catholic Church, to open the doors to the whole aspect of Latino culture and to get involved in education, in political education, in community organizing, in labor organizing, and to get involved in bringing in the Latino culture into the church. So we started to confront our church from within. At that time, I had the privilege to go to an international church meeting, my first contact with the international community in Medellin, Colombia, 1968. It was a crucial year for the church in Latin America, where the church after Vatican II started rereading the Bible from the perspective of that which is the core of the Bible, that the Bible is the book of the failures and sufferings and struggles of people who don't give up, who precisely amidst their suffering and struggle develop a new hope and a new vision and become even greater than before. So rather than seeing poor little me, that precisely out of the suffering there's new vision and hope. That was fascinating for me, to read the Bible from that perspective, that the Bible was a book of hope, of people that don't give up, of people that even take pain and suffering as a challenge to do something better and new that has not even been thought about. Read the prophets of the Old Testament. When the people were in exile, that's when they developed the most beautiful, fascinating thought. That's when they started thinking of a new heaven, a new earth, and a new humanity. When they were at their worst, they thought their most fascinating thoughts. And that was fascinating for me. I said, this is where we have to go. Not just to do patch-up work, but to do something new and exciting. Be not just for us, but for everyone. So Medellin was very important for me. And from there, I started to try to understand our whole encounter of cultures, Latino USA. And I found out about the center in Asia, the East Asian Pastoral Institute, that was studying the encounter of cultures, the encounter of the East and the West. And I went and spent 2 years in Asia. I worked in Asia at the East Asian Pastoral Institute. I studied anthropology. It was fascinating 2 years, living with Chinese and Japanese and Malaysians and Africans, and really for the first time, stepping totally outside my comfort zones and seeing myself from another perspective. It gave me insights into our own Latino struggle that I never suspected. It was fast. I had to step out to see in, to gain insight. I had to take distance to gain perspective. And it was a fascinating time, really marked me in my life. On the way back, I stopped in Mexico City. And this was one of the core moments. I've been in Mexico many times. I have great relatives there. But I went with a friend to the Plaza de las Tres Culturas. I don't know if you have been there. I've been strong with identity. Was I Mexican? Was I American? If I go to Mexico, no matter how well I try to speak my Spanish, I'm sure many of you had that experience. Bueno, para Pocho, tu español no está tan mal. No matter how much I tried, but over here,